Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 6. In Module 6, you're working on your third short story assignment, which is the energy story. In this assignment, we are focusing on that buildup of tension so that your story feels like there's a lot going on and really pulls the reader into the story with a twist at the end. So we're showing rather than telling. And so those are some skills that are a little bit harder to master, which is why this one is placed third in the modules. And I recommend you complete it after the point of view and the character story, just because these types of techniques are just a little bit harder to work with, a little bit harder to get right. And so you want to make sure that you're giving yourself some practice first before you attempt this. So let me show you what I've got in the module for you. This information is probably the most important thing that I want you to look at, and that's learning about showing versus telling. I have a website here. There's a PDF that gives you some more ideas, but this video is a lecture video that I've done that just explains showing versus telling. And so I used to teach this class in person, and this is the PowerPoint that I used. And so all the examples are in there that I would use in a classroom. And I just talk through what I mean by all of that and give you some examples. So it's really important that you watch this video. It is a little bit longer, I think, but hopefully it will give you a really good grasp of what we mean by showing instead of telling. And that is the primary skill that we want you to learn in this unit, just because that is a mistake that beginning writers make a lot, is they tend to tell everything as rather than showing it. And so the telling is, and I see this, even in published books, is that the author just, most of the narrative is just us telling about the character rather than having the character show us something. So if you want your character to have an obsessive compulsive tendency, rather than saying, Karen has an obsessive compulsive tendency, you show that by her repeated actions. She goes out the door and then she locks it and then she checks the lock and that kind of thing. So that is something that you would show rather than tell, and it makes the story much better. I also have this information here that I've taken from a couple of places that I feel like are good resources for you. And it's just learning about creating energy, creating tension, making sure that everything's interesting. You guys have probably watched movies where you, or even TV shows where you watch at the beginning and it's kind of interesting, but then your interest sort of wanes and then you stop paying attention. And that is a problem with the creation of energy, the tension in the story, making us want to finish whatever it is we're doing. So whatever we're reading, whatever we're watching, we want to be pulled through it naturally rather than be forced to have to, I started this movie, I need to finish it kind of thing. Or I started this book and then I want to finish it. So you want to anticipate what the reader will want to read next. So that also has to do with the twist at the end, which is part of this assignment, which is leading us up to something, but then have the ending be something unexpected. So we don't want to know at the beginning of the story how the story is going to end. We want that unexpected conclusion or outcome to the story. And I've had a lot of really good stories come out of this assignment. It does not need to be something creepy or murder mystery. That's kind of what students sort of jump on. Doesn't need to be that kind of story unless you want to write one. But there's all kinds of ways to create an unexpected ending. But just basically think about, okay, I've got these characters, I've got this situation, I've got this conflict. What is the reader going to, what would we normally see happen? If it's a romantic comedy, we'd expect the two characters to get together at the end. But what happens if they don't? What happens if one of the characters dies? What happens if, something else happens? How can you create a story that is unexpected at the end? So those are the requirements. And again, we're building on the skills. So you have one single point of view. We have characters that are interesting and unique. We got some round characters in there. And ones that you have built up a good understanding of. So do some character sketching if you need to, and then submit your story to the submission spot. And then, of course, you will assess your story and make sure that you have met all of the requirements. So that is Module 6. And so, again, we're working on our third story here. You can do them in any order, but this is recommended that you do this one third. And then the next unit, the next module will be where we do some, the last essay, and then some self-assessment and peer assessment. So hopefully you are doing well. If you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.